I don't want us to talk about her boyfriends. I don't want to say who our favorites are. Like, I don't care.
You're not getting that here.
No, you're not.
And I feel...
But you are going to need to pull that wig forward, sweetie. honey. Taylor, let's get off the bottle. Girl.
Is it better?
Sweetie, come here. Oh my God, I'm seeing nothing but your pure brown hair is coming out, Jake.
Really?
Yes. I want you to see it.
Oh my God. Anyway.
I'm trying to help you. I'm Haley Griswold.
And I'm Jake Deaton.
And this is The Lost Lore.
You never told me that.
Hey, Taylor.
Hey, Taylor.
Hey, Taylor.
It's been a long time coming, but...
It's you and me.
It's my whole world.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I can't believe we had the patience to wait 13 episodes, but I'm glad we did.
I know. This is like a milestone episode. We said if we could just make it to episode 13, because this was the dream.
I know. And if you go back and read all the show notes, there is a secret encoded message in every single one of them, but you just have to listen to the episode again before you can see it.
And you have to write us a 5-star review, subscribe to our Patreon, etc., etc. And then it's all very clear.
Then it's all right there.
Yep, it's right there. I don't even know where to begin on this topic.
It is such a huge part of our friendship. Like, you said something to me the other day. You were like, this is the closest this podcast will ever get to someone just listening to our 5-hour morning call.
Literally.
During 2023, we would literally sit and just talk about Taylor Swift morning, noon, and night. I would wake up, call you, and we would just go straight into it.
And the other thing is, you usually wake up like an hour before me. I go to bed several hours after you. So you woke up to my theories, and I woke up to your theories.
So perfect.
And then we each kind of go over them, and then we have our long 5-hour call. We love Taylor Swift.
We do. For our audio listeners, we are, let's just say we're bejeweled right now.
Let's just say we've stepped out. I think that we look like if the most beautiful Taylor Swift wax figures came to life.
I agree.
Jake is looking fiercely modern Taylor
Divalicious.
Swift. Perfect, straight, platinum, long hair. Bangs, baby. We've got the rep body suit snatched.
Should I like scrunch my bangs every 5 minutes like she does in the
Yeah. And the little zhuzh. Damn, now I can't fucking see.
And Haley looks like she just moved into a gorgeous New York mansion where she is about to torture a man with a golf club.
Cause I just look like I do on every episode. Yeah. But don't forget, we both have that red lip classic thing that you like.
We are dressed out.
We are dressed out. So Jake, you have been a lifelong Swiftie. Mm-hmm. Like since childhood.
Since the very beginning.
Right.
The first time I heard a Taylor Swift song, I actually remember where I was. I was on my way home from a campground. My family was camping, surprise, surprise, things that one does in a campground. And my aunt was taking me back to my house to get a couple of things. And our song came on the radio. And she was like, oh my God, you're going to love this song. I heard it yesterday and it's so good. And I think by the last chorus, we were already singing all the words. I was like, let God play that one again. Like,
let God be true quickly. That is so.
And I like never looked back. I mean, it was the perfect moment in my childhood. Like, we listened to a lot of country music growing up, and this was the first time I felt like I had my own country music.
Interesting.
Like, I listened to a lot of Toby Keith, Alan Jackson, like those kind of that old 90s guard of country music with my parents.
I'm not hearing Reba.
We listened to Reba. But this was the first time I felt like I had an artist in my whole life, like up until this point, because I was about 10 years old. I had only really listened to my parents' music, and I was like, Taylor Swift is mine.
Yeah.
How did you first hear her?
I saw Taylor Swift early on the CMT Country Countdown. And I remember having the opposite experience of you, of being like, Pennsylvania, where's Toby Keith? Where is Alan Jackson? I was like, this isn't country. So when she made that switch eventually to 1989, no one was more on board with her, like embracing the fact that you're a pop vocalist. So it was a slow burn for me, but I can't deny that I always knew the words.
It was burning.
That the picture was burning. The picture was to be burned. She was everywhere. And I remember being super resistant to her. First of all, because I thought that this wasn't true country.
Right.
Even though it's so funny as you get older and you learn about what true country is. And it's like, the country we know ain't really
Ain't
true
real
country either.
And me, who has always been a devious little, like, evil person, was like related to her more. When I found out the country accent was fake, I was like, yes. I'm even more on board.
Yeah, I know.
Let me say here, ladies and gentlemen, if Taylor Swift does not bust out the fake twang for debut Taylor's version, we're going to be marching on Holiday House.
There better be a reason it's taken so damn long. She's perfecting that.
She's the twang.
That twang, yes.
And we're going to eat it up. I don't want any discourse. I don't want anyone talking about her faking it. It's real.
It's real, and I want
that moment.
and I want joy. I want thank yous to Taylor.
Yes,
that's it.
agreed.
And I'm saying that. Me who said fuck that fake accent, 20 years ago. Now I'm like, our song is the Slime Screen Doors.
When we get I'd Lie finally from the vault, I need it to be I'd Lie.
I'd lie.
Not I'd Lie.
How does she manage to not get it on her teeth, the lipstick, and you're already on there, yeah?
Well,
and you're going to let me know, right?
You're good.
You're good too.
When I put it on, I literally was like, I was talking like this because I was just scared to touch my lips together.
When you heard our song, were you just instantly on board?
Yes.
Like you were just waiting for this every single that came out, you were just like, another hit?
I actually had an ex-girlfriend who burned me Taylor's version, who burned me debut, not yet Taylor's version.
She thought she was being romantic, but she was being an ally.
Yes, she was. I know. She was like, you probably won't even like these, but this is the person that I'm listening to. And internally, I was like, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. And also that same girlfriend ended up burning me Fearless and Speak Now when the time came. And so I was very, very into it from the beginning. Like I was always like, kind of like the album, like not just the singles, but I didn't actually have the albums. I just had these little burned CDs. So I had missed out on like
That's so cute.
Right?
That you had this like bootleg version of Debut and Fearless
and I just had it in my boombox.
That's so cute.
And that's how I like learned all the lyrics. But then when I got a car, I bought an album for the first time, and the very first album I ever purchased was Red. And I can still remember going to Walmart and picking it up and how excited I was and when the day it was released.
Because we were like teenagers when that came out.
And I just had a car and I was feeling like flying. But I bought the CD, and it was the first time I'd actually had a Taylor Swift CD. And I remember going through the lyric booklet and having that revelation of like, some of these letters are capitalized. And like, I had never known that because I wasn't on Tumblr either, and I never had a real album. And I remember that night going through and decoding every secret message in the album booklets. And then I was like, well, fuck, I gotta go pick up the other ones now. And you can learn a thing or two if you have an interest in the subject of those early songs.
Yes, you can.
She stopped doing this during 1989.
Yes, she did.
I remember being in that like initial batch of albums, and like it all feels so analog now of like,
I know,
actually having a CD that I was literally listening to. Like now when I buy CDs, it's more of a collector's item, right? Like I'm streaming it. But I would put the CD in my car, and I like was looking at the lyrics because I didn't even think to search them on Google. So then that's how I realized there was a secret message in there. And that's where I'm like, she goes to the trouble. She's like, for that little gay boy who wanted to know the exact lyrics to Treacherous, he's gonna get some tea too.
I was going to say, the turn that happened for me was I couldn't deny all the power in Fearless, the album.
You had a moment with Fearless,
Taylor's version. Fearless came back, and I said, if it came down to it, I will take the bullet for this woman. At 5 foot, I probably wouldn't be able to clear that other.
They're hoping that she's shooting her stomach.
Yeah, they're hope that they're aiming for her thigh. But I definitely that was when I was like, I love her. When Fearless Taylor's version came out, so many memories that I'd forgotten from childhood, so many just important things. Like I was hearing 15
memories.
for the first time, for real. And it was so crazy to hear the new 15 being older than 15. Because when we heard 15, we were like 10.
Yeah.
And it was so, I remember being like, I can't wait to be 15 when I was listening to it. And then after I was like, I'm so glad I'm not 15, you know?
But I get so emotional thinking about Taylor recording these songs again. And people are going to be like, this is what mental illness looks like.
They vexed out. They stopped when we described our outfits. No one, it's just us here, baby. You say whatever you want.
But I remember when I was waiting for Fearless to come out, and I was thinking, God, when I hear her say, back then I thought I was going to marry him someday, but I realized some bigger dreams of mine. Yeah, you did.
At the Eras Tour, you hear her saying those bigger dreams. You're like, we're living
We're living the big dreams. But then it's also like, the most important thing you're going to do is dating the boy on the football team. But I was like,
skip that part. Skip over that part.
She's like, we actually had time to do both.
Sometimes you can get all your dreams.
Yeah.
Dream big. But whenever Speak Now came out, all right, my cousin Ashlyn was a young little girl under the age of 10, and she was so into the Speak Now album, and she left the CD at my house. And I remember, okay, that I had gone to a birthday party for a boy who I had a crush on. We had been best friends since kindergarten. He really wanted to date me. I really wanted to date him. We were in 7th grade. And his friend from another school showed up, Xander, who looked so much like Justin Bieber. I'm not even in a fake, stupid way. I'm saying for real, so cute. I can't even talk about him because I will get arrested because he was 14. He was the most adorable little thing. And that night when I got home, I popped in the Speak Now album. And when Enchanted came on, I was like, I was literally enchanted to meet you.
You were like, she crawled inside my mind.
I was literally sitting on the edge of my bed wishing he would find a way at 13, even on foot.
This is me praying.
Please come to my double wide and knock on the door and say, hey, it was enchanting to meet you.
And then, I mean, Enchanted, the funniest, that song has the funniest backstory too.
I know. Okay, so can you explain the backstory to me? Because I think I saw you made a TikTok like, I'm so hungry I could eat someone.
Adam Young.
Who the fuck is Adam Young?
So this is like such a hilarious story and
Okay.
like one of my favorite Taylor Swift stories.
tell me.
So encapsulates
Okay.
her personality in
Okay.
my opinion. Enchanted, in the lyric booklet, there's a hidden secret message. And that message is Adam. And so that signaled to everyone who that song was about. Adam Young is the frontman of Owl City. Do you remember them? Fireflies?
You would not believe your eyes. Yeah.
And he's, no shade to Adam Young, who may be a listener, who knows, but he ain't Jake Gyllenhaal, like, let's just say. But Taylor was enchanted to meet him, and she wrote this incredibly, obviously moving song of like, if someone were to sing
About becoming
about
smitten instantly.
if someone had written Enchanted about me, I would literally be like, well,
Pining for
let's
your
go to the
life.
chapel.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he thought, wow, she really wants to date me. And so he released a cover of Enchanted. And his lyric was like, I was enchanted to meet you too. Radio silence. Ghosted. Nothing. Crickets. Chirp, 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 chirp. Never acknowledged by Taylor Swift whatsoever. Meanwhile, at the time, she's tweeting every cover anyone's ever done, like these little C-list artists. She's like, oh, wow, great, never grow up. Arguably an A-lister at the time who has a giant hit out, who she wrote the damn song about, and she's like, that gave me the ick.
Yeah,
And
it
she's
gives
so
me
real
the
for
ick
that.
hearing
She's
this.
so real for that.
You've just told me my favorite Taylor Swift story. I relate. It's like you do one thing weird and it's like, I gotta go.
I gotta go.
Not
The
only
thing
do I
is-
gotta go, I'm gonna pretend I was never here. Right?
She's like, actually, that was about Adam Scott.
I was gonna say, I think I remember seeing Adam and my mind, I was like, she must love Maroon 5 too. Adam Levine, I love him too. Yeah. Sugar. Yes, please. I love that song, Jake.
It's so that's Matt's favorite song.
Is it?
Yeah.
Matt and I
In another
life. So Red came out whenever I was having to get rides to high school, and every girl who gave me rides to high school, Red, and I was like, I really would love to know any other song on this album, literally. But it was sort of the iTunes day,
Sure.
and I was mad at Taylor Swift during Red because I was a bit of a redacted.
I think we've mentioned this on the pod before, maybe just for the Patreon bugs.
I think it was a bonus content because I didn't really want
I'm about to spill your tea. So Haley was on a different side of the war than I was back when the beef between one Katy Perry and Taylor Swift was going down.
Right. I
Time,
know.
the ultimate truth teller.
and believe me. I wish time would lie a little. I know that it happened really in 1989, but Red, I think I was just so still vibing with Teenage Dream. Like that lasted for years for me. I won't act like I didn't know. I knew You Were Trouble and the hits, and I loved All Too Well. There was no denying the power that was All Too Well. However, I do remember people going fucking nuts for All Too Well, and I don't know if I'm really gonna get on this soapbox and die on this hill. But especially then, I was like, all too well, how about Last Kiss? Last Kiss. Let's talk about
I love Last Kiss.
Let's talk about a devastatingly beautiful song, right?
You know, I am a Taylor's version truther. I listen to every Taylor's version.
I know you do.
Even ones that, like, you know, we're on the pod. We can be a little more loose-lipped. Even the ones that I think might not quite capture the magic of the originals. Like, no need to name style. But I still listen. I only listen to Style TV. So I don't even want to hear it from y'all. I only listen to Style TV. Clean and healthy
Crickets
diet.
from this side of the couch. I'm joking.
And the thing that actually bothers me the most about any re-recorded song is Last Kiss, which is perfectly realized. I think it's a fantastic re-recording. I think it sounds very similar to the original, but it is missing the shaky breath. Are you familiar with the shaky breath?
Did you hear what I just said about how I felt about the song? Here's the thing. She added 2 more seconds to the Taylor's version. It's 6:09 instead of the original 6:07, so I'll take it.
Would you still feel that way? Like All Too Well versus Last Kiss?
No, I cannot stand by Last Kiss over All Too Well.
That's a little teaser.
Now. All right.
So,
yeah, what's next?
1989. So I went to NYU. The fall 1989 was released. And that was probably the best thing that had ever happened to me. Welcome to New York.
It aligned so nicely for your life.
Did.
Yeah.
And I just felt like such hot shit. I remember on my freshman year hall, I had my then girlfriend. So we had a journey, still 18. I wanted to retake the album cover for 1989. We'll put up a picture for the Patreon Bugs.
Because you did.
And I was like, hey, girlfriend, can you put your hair on top of my head so I can look like I have long blonde hair when I take this photo? And she said, sure. Thanks, Emma. Love you, girl. But so I loved that moment. It was so aligned to my experience in New York. I felt like just like a cool person walking through the East Village with my corded headphones at night, listening to 1989. And I was like, I do got a blank space. And I'm filling it with Emma.
Oh.
So you were a senior, right?
I was a senior in high school. 1989 was unavoidable. But Prism, Katy Perry.
I call that one Prison.
Jake. Come on. Her last big hits were on Prism.
I like Prism, yeah.
And I was such a Prism truther that I was like, don't even play 1989 near me. And I'll never forget that I was on my high school boyfriend's phone to do Spotify in the car, and I saw that he was not using Spotify, that he had bought 1989.
Sounds like you and Emma had a similar experience.
He bought the 1989 album.
King!
And I remember, so 17.
Because you had to buy it. You had to buy it because Taylor said, I ain't putting this on Spotify, actually.
And so he did buy it.
You got to pay $15.99.
And I was pissed off. I was like, where's Prism? Where's Prism? So then we were listening to 1989 and Prism. Both purchased.
This was sort of the beginning of my chart obsession with Taylor. And I remember she announced Shake It Off on a live stream, which I watched. You know, I'm a stan. I've been a stan.
You've been there, yeah.
And so there was a website where you could go and track the sales of songs on iTunes in real time. And I remember that Shake It Off at the time made the biggest gap between number 1 and number 2 that had ever happened on iTunes.
Really?
And I just remember being like, fuck yeah, it did. Like,
what was number 2? You don't even know.
At the time, no clue. Some flop. I think it was actually all about that bass. But that's when I first started tracking the charts, and what an era to decide that I cared about charts.
Yeah.
I literally was like, I care just in time to watch Taylor basically annihilate everyone in history with the biggest album of our lifetimes.
I mean, literally, like 1989 was huge.
A moment. I mean, not only was the album huge, the tour was huge, the songs were huge.
That's it.
Like,
I mean,
everything. Red really kind of teed up the ball, and Fearless was an enormous era. Like, the thing about Taylor Swift is she has also never even sniffed a flop. She's never even been in the same room as a flop. She's only ever actually, in fact, been in the same room as a runaway success. But 1989... Okay, it peaked at 2 on the Billboard Hot 100.
You know what the craziest part is? I could get behind it. In the right headspace, me.
Ooh. She did. She said
You'll never
she's
find
business.
another. Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
But 1989 was like, I'm going to be the biggest at everything. It's going to be the blockbuster album, the 5 runaway smash hits, the biggest North American tour of all time at the time. Like, it was just, what a time to be a Swiftie. I never thought we would see another peak like that Little did I know.
Welcome to New York. Whenever I got to NYU and they played that Welcome Week over and over again, I don't know, it hit me. So I turned around, but baby, if we want to talk about when the car turned, it wasn't just a car, it was a getaway car. It was Reputation.
You were sat. Davis was sat. I remember how sat Davis was.
Look What You Made Me Do was the first one, right? Mm-hmm. Let me actually pause for a second. I look back on our first episode of this podcast, the Lady Gaga episode, and I have a lot of regret. I wish that, I think maybe I was nervous. It was the first time there were a lot of logistics on the mind. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that I properly was able to really, really show what she meant to me. I want you guys to know, don't listen to this thinking, oh, Haley's entertaining her buddy Jake. I love Taylor Swift, okay?
And this was really where that started for you, right? And
Reputation did it, okay? Reputation made me realize not only do I love Taylor Swift, I have loved Taylor Swift. And that she is my girl.
It revealed something to you rather than starting something new. It pulled the wool off your eyes and you were like, it's always been
literally.
her.
And Look What You Made Me Do came out a few weeks after my grandmother died. And I know, right? This is the song that got me through the greatest loss of my life. But I remember seeing that music video. And I was like,
Grandma can't come to the phone right now. Why?
All right, we're taking a page from Taylor Swift's book and we're going era by era to sing for our supper this week. Hit it, Taylor.
When you think Patreon, I hope you think of me.
Romeo, pay me. Please subscribe to Patreon.
'Cause I see $ whenever you subscribe.
We want you to be on our Patreon.
In your lost Laura. Oh.
This ain't for the best. Our Patreon only costs $3, so you should subscribe for me.
You're my Patrybug.
But it would have been fun if you subscribed to Patreon.
Just like Taylor, we're gonna ignore Evermore. You're on your own, kid. Unless you're on Patreon.
And just for $3, you could be one of our beloved Patrybug babies. Please subscribe to our Patreon! Please! Oh my God, I'm such a goddamn liar. Rest in peace, Nana. I love you. But it was actually Kim Kardashian releasing that fucking tape. That is when I was like, what are you doing to her?
You knew from the beginning that you felt the evil in Kim's heart.
Madeline and I, summer dorm, we were in my twin XL bed, and we always knew that there was more to that story. I remember, I think that Maddie has Snapchats of us reacting to it, being like, what the fuck? And I remember the Twitter, and I remember being like, this is too far.
That's my Vietnam that we're talking about. I was literally going, it was enlistment day.
Yes.
I was heading onto Twitter.
When Taylor Swift released the Look What You Made Me Do after literally leaving us, abandoning the world for a year because of what it had done to her.
No one physically saw me for a year.
No one physically saw me for a year. And there will be no conversation, by the way. There will just be reputation. Yeah, that was it. Because let me tell you, her comeback to that, she fucking won.
I had a roommate in college who was a Kanye West stan, and he and I used to go at each other's throats, especially after that
Davis
tape leaked.
Davis didn't go to NYU.
But especially after that tape leaked, because I never wavered. I know, and I'm not even going to judge. I know that there were people who kind of wavered in their love of Taylor, but that was not my journey. My journey, it was Vietnam. I was in the trenches. I was fighting for my girl, and I was fighting this guy for my girl.
Wait, were you out?
No.
Okay, go on.
Not when the event happened. When Reputation came out, yes.
Okay.
I would yell at him and be like, the time is going to prove me right.
And I just hope he's
listening.
So,
Javi,
now.
You still going to defend Kanye West? Who do you think was right in their feud? Kanye or Taylor?
Please, on mic, we'd love to hear your answer.
I love Javi. And he did tell me, even before all this new horrible shit had happened, all the old horrible shit, last time I saw him, he was like, you were right about Taylor Swift.
All right.
Time's the ultimate truth teller.
And it is I know how delicious it is for you when
To be
people
told I was right.
tell you that
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, yeah.
And it happens so often.
Yeah.
But it never gets old. But Reputation was such a moment. And can I just say, I need to make a public service announcement. I see people online all the time, and people are like, Jake, you're a 30-year-old with 2 children. And I'm like, and Taylor Swift is a billionaire. And I'm like, well, let's get her to 2. And I need to defend her honor. I see people all the time be like, yeah, Taylor Swift, oh yeah, she's successful and famous because she's never taken a risk. Never taken a risk. Never taken a risk. Taylor Swift. It's just because they pay off. Sorry, when your flop-ass fave took a risk, it ruined their career. Taylor Swift just gets bigger. Never taken a risk. Has anyone seen the Look What You Made Me Do video? Her whole reputation was that she was America's sweetheart, that she would never do anything naughty or bad, or that she'd never have a leg out. And then she was like, well, everyone has turned on me. Well, first of all, she left country music before any of that even happened. She wrote an album by herself for her 3rd album after people said she couldn't do it. Never taken a fucking risk. You're about to be at risk if you say that in front of me.
Let them know, King. It's a PSA and a threat.
It is a threat. It is a threat. Reputation was a risk. Reputation was like, that could have blown up in her face. And I remember even at the time,
I'm totally with you.
Publications were like lukewarm to the album, and of course they all come crawling back in retrospect. So many people all the time are like, this was actually her best album, and she talks about it in the Time Person of the Year interview, like how important it was to her. And I remember at the time people trying to drag it, and it's just like, Taylor will always win. Never bet against Taylor Swift. She will always win. People being like about the Tortured Poets Department, like, skipping ahead slightly, but saying it reminds me very much of Reputation. We're gonna watch them all come crawling back, and they all something
they about that. They don't like her in black and white. I don't know what it is.
Until later,
and then when it's a nostalgia thing,
and then everyone at the Eras tour is literally like, oh, this is my favorite era. This is my favorite era. I was like, show me your Twitter from 2016.
They're
I'll
like,
wait.
no, I deleted it. Taylor Swift, you better motherfucking comment on this. You said in our very first episode of this pod that you are the biggest Tay warrior of all time.
I am a Tay warrior. I am still going to the trenches. I do every now and then have that moment of like, you're 30. But there are 6-year-old people defending Jesus.
And mic drop.
What else is there to say? How many Grammys does Jesus have? I'll wait.
Just the love of all our Grammys is all. I mean, how do you follow up? I agree.
Lover,
I agree
guess.
with everything you said about Reputation. But, okay, if we're going to Lover, we know Lover is whenever, if I got in the getaway car at Reputation and said, I am going to Swiftyville for life, when Lover,
You're building the house.
When Lover came
Lover
out,
house.
literally I was building it brick by brick. Lover is the most underrated Taylor Swift album ever, 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 ever. Anytime that I try to think of my favorite songs, Lover, there are multiples from Lovers. Lover is such a spectacular pop, love,
Yes.
beautiful album.
Yes.
I love
It covers so much ground.
I love it. And I won't even get into the theories I have about her personal life and what it all says in Lover, because I don't even need that.
No.
The album in and of itself is spectacular.
And it spoke to me. That was the first Taylor Swift album that had been released when I was in a relationship that I really cared about.
That was also the first Taylor Swift album that came out when you and Davis and I were officially a trio.
Yes.
And I remember
God, we were
I
texting
found
about
the
it.
text, I remember that I called Cruel Summer the greatest song of all time immediately.
I did too. We all did.
It was me first though.
So, Lover, it's so funny when I go back and I look at that album and the amount of just amazing songs on it and how much I do associate it with my relationship, because that is the first time I was listening to Taylor Swift love songs and being like, wow, I really feel like I understand them.
Yeah.
And Cornelia Street, I would sit and cry and listen to Cornelia Street and be like, I could never walk it again. And it worked out. I mean, and I feel really grateful that we both have had such amazing relationships and we're in the same relationships we were then. And Lover actually ended up being my first dance song. And lyrics from Lover are inscribed in my engagement band.
I know.
And it says, I want them all. Because
so cute.
I used to say that to Matt about the lyric of the summers. I've loved you 3 summers now, honey, but I want them all. And I do want them all. And I listen to that song and it just makes me emotional and cry. And let me say, in just a completely earnest way, it is such a special experience to get to dance with your spouse to the song that was your first dance sung by the artist. At the Eras Tour, Matt and I got to dance to Taylor singing Lover. And it felt like she was singing to us. It was really special.
It was really special. And to just sort of be a huge wet blanket on your sincerity, I remember at your wedding that it was very important that Lover be the song.
Yes,
and
I know where this is going.
And you found a shortened version.
Mm-hmm. I made
a shortened
version that went the first verse, the chorus, the bridge, the last chorus. Because ain't nobody wanting to watch you dance for 4 minutes.
Yeah, so you had like a 2-minute one.
Yes, if that.
Which one did
That was
they
not
play?
the version that was played.
Yeah, they did the long version.
And we didn't choreograph the dance. And so I grabbed
Matt. It was
Matt.
a few minutes of swaying.
And I said, they played the wrong fucking version, as I'm smiling and looking so happy, like whispering sweet nothings into his ear. But that's what I'm whispering. And so we're awkwardly swaying in front of 200 people.
But it was actually beautiful. We were all crying. It was very beautiful.
But all of that stuff that I just said, none of that matters. All of that shit compared to getting Cruel Summer to #1. That was much more important to me than my wedding. And if anyone's listening to this that was on TikTok in 2023, I was organizing the Swifties with an iron fist.
I was about to brag about how I truly believe you had influence over Cruel Summer going #1, but you're going to do it for us.
You know what?
I genuinely remember when remember that happened and I called you and I was like, Jake, you did this. You got Cruel Summer.
And I remember
to
I was
#1.
like, no, I didn't.
Cruel Summer has been my #1 song on Spotify Wrapped since 2019. Since the fucking year it came out. I love that song.
It's such a good song.
But you were organizing for community. What's it called when
community care.
You were doing community care. You were fundraising. No, what's that word? Mobilizing. You were mobilizing the Swifties.
Out of the bars, into the streets, stream Cruel Summer, and repeat.
And you literally had me inspired. I was like, you know what? Every hour on the hour, I am going to play Cruel Summer for the next couple days.
And you know what? One of the times that I've been recognized in public, I was at the 20th anniversary show of Wicked. I had just run into Stephen Sondheim, the composer and lyricist of Wicked. And I was like, can I get a picture with you? He was really nice about it, but it was obvious that he was like there for a good time. It was the 20th anniversary. Like, it was kind of rude of me, to be honest, to ask. But then, right when I turned around from taking my picture, a girl was holding a camera. I was thinking she was in line for Stephen. She was like, can I take a picture with you? And Stephen Sondheim heard all this, by the way. So I was like, So you're lucky that I asked, actually. You wrote and composed lyric. That's actually nothing compared to what I did getting Cruel Summer to #1. Please trust and believe. But the girl, when we took the photo, she was like, you inspired me to buy Cruel Summer on iTunes the week it went #1. And I was like, well.
You're like, can you turn the flash on? I really do believe
that was really special to me. That's like a really special memory to me
special.
of my time on TikTok. Probably my favorite time of my time on TikTok.
Yeah. So now we move into an era that somehow, does it top Lover? I don't know.
God.
We go to folklore, which is, by the way, what your grandma calls this podcast.
She did. She really did organically.
She called me like, girl, I'm loving folklore. And I was like,
folklore.
I was like, yeah, I love the one. August girl. And I do remember that morning. Of course, the great and brilliant thing about having you in my life is I don't need People magazine. I don't need TMZ. You break the news to me the moment the news is broke.
And I was probably slamming, notify anyway, notify anyway, notify anyway.
I am on perpetual D&D. She announced it the day of. She said, tonight midnight. You guys are going to have something that you will change your lives forever.
And we never had anything like that with her. Everything had been meticulous, lead single, second single.
Can you remind me, did she do because Look What You Made Me Do came out before Rep.
Yes. Oh, there is this rewritten history that Reputation was a surprise drop. Reputation was fully announced before Look What You Made Me Do even came out. We knew the day the album was coming out and the day the single was coming out. Like, she deleted everything on her Instagram, iconic.
Yeah.
And then she announced the single And actually then she may have announced the album after, I can't remember, but it was within the week. And so we knew for months the day that Rap was coming out. It was released, other than not doing interviews, it was just like every other Taylor Swift album cycle, which was super kind of meticulous and pre-planned.
Which is also crazy now because that's the way she does them all. Did we see her do a damn interview about tortured poets?
Nope.
Nah, no need. I'm on tour.
But so this was like so different. And I remember, I feel like we were braced for the sound based on the album cover, but I was like so excited that she was going like a folky alternative route.
We were also scared.
Yes.
Especially because like, and this is no shade, like everyone can love their music. I'm sure most people aren't into Reba, even though I don't get why. I'm not a Simon and Garfunkel like girl.
I remember your reactions night one.
Cut.
What's up? Put in that Real Housewives. And how do you feel about folklore now?
Folklore is
the mother I never had.
And that we'll leave it there. I mean, literally, folklore is the only thing that I love more than folklore or as much as folklore is Evermore.
Yeah.
Do you know how amazing it is to release music during one of the most unprecedented times of our lives and it make me nostalgic for fucking living
it makes me so
exclusively
nostalgic.
In the house?
Folklore is a masterpiece. Like, I think objectively, Folklore is her best album. And I actually think Taylor Swift would say the same thing.
What is your favorite song on Folklore?
On Folklore? God, this is like probably one of the hardest Taylor Swift questions for me. Like most albums I have.
I would love to try to guess.
Okay.
Do you know your answer?
I don't know that I have a definitive answer.
You don't have an answer? Okay. I don't know that I do either, but I kind of do.
I can narrow it down to a trinity.
Cardigan, isn't it?
Yes.
August?
Yes.
I think this is where we'll probably deviate because those are two for me, and then I have a trinity.
What's your third?
I have my third trinity is The One.
Yeah, I love The One, but I really, really love Invisible String.
Okay, you saying Invisible String makes me feel really excited to tell you my favorite on Evermore.
Oh my God, me too.
Should we just go to it real quick?
Sure. They're sisters.
It is Cowboy Like Me.
Is your favorite?
Invisible String has the lyric, green was the color of the grass.
Yeah.
And then Cowboy Like Me has, and the tennis court was covered up by some tent-like thing.
Can I tell you, someone clocked my tea so bad on TikTok the other day that I had to delete the video. Did you see it?
I want to know what they said because I was reading those comments and liking everyone's comments because I was like, y'all are right. Because you tried to be like, this lyric, haha, it's so funny, right? Like just being funny. But was it the comment that was like...
It actually shows that there's a class difference between them and she didn't know what to call it because she's at his country club and is like, it's some tent-like thing. I don't know what it is.
I read that comment. I slammed I reported your video and you didn't delete it. It got taken down because I reported you. Yeah. That is what that means.
And can I just say, I wish I could have lifted up because I do think out of context it is still funny, like green is the color of the grass. But even that is a cute lyric because of the simplicity. But in Stan world, no one said anything mean to me, mind you. But I knew if that video stayed up, because other people were agreeing and laughing and being like, yeah, that is a funny lyric. But I knew if that had stayed up and it got more views, someone would video response me and be like, this is why stupid people shouldn't listen to Taylor Swift. This fucking moron doesn't understand. And people are that hostile. And like, sometimes that's the reason, you know who you don't see doing rankings publicly? Me. Because I don't want people to be in my comments calling me a fucking idiot who doesn't deserve to listen to Taylor Swift.
Let's cut back to the beginning of the episode. Whenever he was like, your fucking favorite flop is never taking a risk. I don't rank anybody. I never, who never ranks? Me, who said, oh, your faves are ass.
Oh yeah, we compare to the other artists, but I don't rank within.
Yeah. Evermore. On the whole, though, Evermore and Folklore are every time
we've tussled about this.
We've tussled, but the reality is, Jake, when I go through and I'm like, songs I could not live without, I have the same amount on Folklore and Evermore. It is so, I love them both. I know I look like Taylor, but I'm not Taylor in this way. I don't prefer Folklore. I love Evermore too.
I love Evermore also. I mean, like Ivy is one of my all-time favorite songs. Tolerate It. Oh my God, 'Tis the Damn Season. One of my, we'll circle back. That's one of my all-time favorite Taylor Swift songs.
Mine is the song Evermore.
I love that song too. And
I love at the end the flip, because the lyric is, I had this feeling so peculiar that this pain would be forevermore. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, I had this feeling that this pain wouldn't be for. And so if I'm
I
really
love when
depressed,
she does a flip.
when I'm really depressed, I turn that before we get to that part. It's gonna be forever. I'm not turning this. I don't want any positive
It is
spin.
actually
it's gonna be forevermore.
I'm still at the restaurant.
Oh, I love Right Where You Left Me as well.
Oh, Right Where You Left Me washes the lakes. But I don't know that everyone will agree on this couch.
The lakes,
you love the lakes,
especially with the strings.
I love the lakes too.
Oh my!
I mean, that's
and
all
you
so
just don't
good.
like it because she said tweet.
I don't like that part. I want people to know this is like us arguing about which child is smarter.
Right.
Like the
no,
everything is love.
We love it all. We love it all.
This was also the era of Taylor Swift where I started making Swiftie content online.
Folklore or Evermore?
Yeah.
Because I need you to remind me about how Evermore was announced. Was it also a surprise?
Same day.
Yes.
The Folklore is when I started making content. I had been teaching up until 2020, and I was too embarrassed to make content because I was afraid the kids would find it. And when I stopped, that's when actually it was 21, I think. So Folklore and Evermore had been out. Because that was the summer I stopped teaching. And the first content I made was me rewriting Taylor Swift songs from the perspective of the people who we thought they were about. And to be honest, like for the most of the content that I make about her, I would consider that to be too invasive. Like I don't really clock her personal life to you.
No. I don't want us to talk about her boyfriends. I don't want to say who our
same.
favorites are. Like,
yeah,
I don't care.
you're not getting that here. It's like one thing if Haley and I want to turn off the mics and have a conversation about the album booklets and like her personal life in any capacity, but in my opinion, it's weird to do it in a public forum.
It's weird to have a username Taylor fucks Travis 69 and say all of your theories. Yes. It's weird, yeah.
But my original content did rewrite songs kind of about people who we knew they were about, but it was always very just like tongue-in-cheek and disparaging to them. Like I remember Jake Gyllenhaal's version of All Too Well started, walk through the door with you, the air was warm, probably 'cause I come straight from hell, that's the norm. Like, so it was just, like kind of tongue-in-cheeky, like nothing definitely overly personal and just kind of being like all these guys suck and
we
assholes.
know that this is appropriate because how many comments have you gotten from her, honey?
Mm-hmm. I think 3 at last count.
But who knows? We might have an update after this episode's out.
But it has been such a wonderful experience, life-changing experience. I've loved being able to find this community of people who are into the same thing. And it just makes me happy to be able to share like this love with people online and like how fun was being on the internet as a Swiftie during the Eras Tour.
I mean, we watched the Eras Tour
every night.
One
on
TikTok.
Every other night too. So how did you react when she announced Midnights? Because I think a lot of people thought the re-recordings project was going to keep going, like after Folklore and Evermore, and we got Fearless and Red. But then at the VMAs, when she was like, I actually have a new studio album. Like, how are you feeling?
I was so excited for new music. I will listen to Folklore and Evermore to death. And I loved Fearless and I loved Red. And I loved when she did Red TV and was doing all the performances, her SNL performance.
That's my favorite Taylor Swift era ever.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say performance, and I was going to be like, that's such a fucking lie. Because why did I ask you to guess mine, and you could never guess that, and that was literally mine. But yeah, I loved that era. It was such a fun time. And so when she said, oh, I'm actually doing new music, I was thrilled. And I was thrilled that, oh, this isn't just like a rush job project you're doing with the re-recordings. Like it's something that you're integrating into new music being made. And it honestly made me so happy because I was just like, you love doing this. It's not just a cash grab. I had a bad deal. I want to get my money, my master's, whatever. Yes. Like you love making new music. You love
You're going out of your way.
Yeah.
Like you're making it harder than just releasing them again.
Yeah. And so when Midnights was announced, I was super excited for it. And then when it came out, I loved it. You liked it too a lot.
Yes, of course.
Right.
I mean, it was it is so fun in this modern era of never knowing exactly what we're going to get.
Yeah.
And like, she is so hardworking. I remember Lana Del Rey has this quote about her being like, I've never met anyone who wanted it more, ever. And you can tell. Like Billboard also wrote in their article about her, they were like, never in history of pop music has someone taken every chance. There is no what if. There is no stone left unturned. And I feel like that her being like, I'm actually going to put out an entirely new album in the middle of this re-recording cycle was just more of that. And then she's now done it twice.
I know.
But Midnights started, I always loved it, but it has grown on me. It has aged like the finest of wines. Like
especially when she just kept adding more songs to it.
I was convinced after we had Midnights and after we had done re-recordings throughout the Eras Tour, I was like, there's no way she's dropping another album because she would have to rework the entire Eras Tour. Who would do that? This huge project that is like, she's never taken a risk, And so I was like, there's no way that she's going to rework the Eras Tour from top to bottom in order to accommodate a new era. I never would have guessed that would have happened. I thought she was going to focus on finishing the re-recordings And then at the Grammys, what do we get? Little announcement. Brand new album. That turns out to be basically 2 albums. She's crazy.
She's nuts.
The only person crazier than Swifties is Taylor.
I know.
And that's why this relationship works.
And that's why Tortured Poets, I remember people being very mad that she announced it at the Grammys.
Fuck them. Fuck that old grandma Celine Dion. No, I'm kidding. But Taylor was not rude to her. At this point, Taylor had been kind of riding too high. Her 2023 peak was the biggest year in music consumption history. And so I think people were getting a little ready to kind of knock her off the pedestal slightly.
I remember just being so thrilled that I wouldn't have to wait too long.
Yeah.
That it was just like a 2-month wait.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate waiting from
what did
like
you think
a
it would
July.
sound like?
I thought that it would be a pop album.
I thought when I saw the cover, I was really unsure of what I thought we could possibly be going back to the woods, which it was sort of both with like the anthology and the main album. But it's
pop. Also so many because it also has that anti-hero, smart, astuteness thing as well. Okay, so my tops are Guilty as Sin, But Daddy, I love him. I also love the Tortured Poets department.
I love the anthology. I love the Black Dog.
Oh my God, the Black Dog.
The Albatross. I'm Gonna Get You Back.
Yeah, I'm Gonna Get You Back.
So many good ones but on the front half, I shake my little ass to Don't Be Great in the Gym. Everything comes out teenage, but looking if I can. It's so good. I really do think that people will have. Not that that people don't love it already, but I do think there will be like a very Reputation-like sort of retroactive look back on that album where people will realize that it is a masterpiece. It is hysterical. I mean, like when you think about, like I said, I don't really need to get into the weeds of what was going on in Taylor's life, but when you think about what was going on in Taylor's life, it is a funny album. She is funny on that album.
But Daddy, I love him.
Yes. The Torture Poets Department song. People don't like that song, and I'm like, you don't get it. Like, this is satirical. She is like looking at herself when she performed that on the Eras tour when she's like, 'cause we're crazy. She's like, well. And then she's like, it is a funny album of someone who is sort of like looking back on their mania.
Yes.
And being like, holy shit.
She really is. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I love the Tortured Poets department. I love the anthology. I felt super proud of her. One thing on Taylor Swift's personal life that I know for sure. There's no fucking possible way that she has the chronically online level of screen time that we do. When I'm sort of have a low moment, I'm like, let's just scroll until I can't scroll anymore. And she's like, I'm gonna go write Robin. I actually think I'm ready to reflect on the manuscript. You know, she
is hardworking.
She's a super hardworking person, and she has so much passion. And I think that that's probably the thing I admire the most about her.
I agree. And speaking of, can I talk a little bit about the rewards she has reaped for her passion? I
am going to go ahead and give you this because I have refused to give it to you up until this point.
So I have a little document right here on my computer. A lot of it is just, I was trying to distill down, if you've never heard of Taylor Swift, you know, it doesn't exist, but if you've never heard of Taylor Swift, what chart accomplishments do I want to share with you to kind of give you an idea of how ungodly her chart performance is? Because Swifties don't even understand. And so this is what I would want to tell people so they get it. So just like very basic stats. Taylor Swift has had 12 number 1 hits.
And this is a 15-page document, I'm saying.
And I'm just going to focus on Billboard. Like, I wish I could do international stuff, but it's too much. It's like too much. So Taylor Swift has 12 number 1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. She has 36 top 5 hits, 59 top 10 hits. That is like 6 albums worth of top 10 hit songs.
That's insane. That's crazy.
Taylor is the only artist in history that has ever occupied the entire top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. And she's done it twice.
Wait. That means at one time she's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's nuts.
With the Tortured Poets department, she was 1 through 14.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And no one else has ever done anything even close to that. When Midnight's was in the top 10, it was also, I think, the first time in history that a man had not been in the top 10. Because the only other artist was Lana, who was featured. Taylor has 164 top 40 entries and 264 Hot 100 entries. Like, that's unbelievable.
That's literally 2 Hot 100s.
Yes. 2.5.
Plus some.
2.5. She is the only female artist to ever self-replace at number 1. So
what usurped it?
Shake It Off was number 1, then Blank Space went number 1, then
Makes
Cruel
sense.
Summer and Is It Over Now did a switch, and then Is It Over Now switched back to Cruel Summer. So she's also done it 3 times, the only artist who has self-replaced at number 1.
That's amazing.
3 times in history, more than anyone else. She has spent 86 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200. That is more than any other solo artist in history, and only behind the Beatles. If you want a little context for how far away she is from her peers on this one, because that's the important thing. You hear these numbers and you're like, amazing. But without the context, and I don't say this to degrade these artists, they're incredibly successful. They're some of the most successful artists of all time. I only say this so you can tell how insane Taylor's numbers are. So she's 86 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Drake, who is the second most successful artist of the 21st century, has spent 36 weeks at number 1.
And she's done 50 more weeks?
Yes. Oh, just wait. Beyonce has spent 12. Justin Bieber has spent 12. Britney has spent 11. Gaga 11. Katy Perry 3. Kanye West, 14. So Taylor, her old enemy, has spent over 6 times the amount of weeks at number 1.
Wow.
Taylor Swift has been named by Billboard as the most successful artist of the 21st century in charts. That's the Hot 100, Billboard 200, like everything compiled. She has been named number 1 with an enormous gap. Only 26 albums in history have ever debuted with more than 1 million copies. Do you know how many of those were Taylor Swift albums? 7.
Wow.
7 of the 26 albums in history. A quarter.
Jake, that's more than 25%.
I know. One artist, Taylor Swift. The next closest artist had 2 albums debut with over 1 million copies. And Taylor Swift is the only one who's done it in the last 10 years because it doesn't happen anymore. After Adele failed to debut 30 at over 1 million copies, Forbes actually ran an article that said we will never see another album debut with over 1 million copies because the music industry has changed too much. Monoculture is dead. Taylor Swift, since then, guess how many times she's done it since that article ran?
2 or 3?
3.
Wow.
Uh-huh. So even the fact that she has done it so many times, there's so much context that you need because the context that she's done it in this modern climate is even bigger. Despite album debuts continuing to get smaller for every other artist, the Tortured Poets Department is Taylor's biggest debut ever. Like bigger than
That is so nuts because remember what you said earlier. You never thought we'd have another 1989.
Never, ever. 2023 and 2024 were the 2 biggest consumption years for any artist in history. And no one ever thought we would see anything like that again. Everyone thought that those records were permanent because of how the music industry has changed.
And it can't just be that she's got 10,000 fans that really love her.
No. Have you seen the videos of the Eras Tour of so many tens of thousands of people outside every single stadium all around the world? So she is the only entertainer. Can we get a prop? She is the only entertainer in history to be named Times Person of the Year. The only artist in history. Everyone else is like presidents, activists, and Taylor motherfucking Swift. Taylor is the first artist in history to gross $1 billion on tour, even adjusted for inflation. And she is the only artist in history to gross $2 billion on a single tour. The Eras Tour is the highest grossing concert film of all time. Taylor is the highest grossing live act in history with over $3.1 billion in ticket sales. And it is hundreds of millions of dollars ahead of number 2. To find someone who is considered Taylor's contemporary, meaning someone who debuted within 10 years of Taylor Swift, you have to drop all the way down to number 9 on that all-time touring list because almost everyone in the top 10 are like legacy artists. In 2019, Billboard released a list of the most successful artists of all time, everything considered, not just by Taylor's already the most successful artist of the 21st century. This was forever, all of the chart data. Taylor's lifetime career units in the US have more than doubled since that list was released in 2019. At the time, she was already the 8th most successful artist in Billboard history. She was the only artist born after 1970 in the top 10. When Billboard reissues that list, it is likely she will already be number 2, if not already number 1.
This
taking
is
it from
nuts.
The Beatles. I know. And so the last piece, there is a service online called Chartmasters that compares the chart performance of artists across time. The music industry has changed so much. If you want to see more in-depth stuff on this, I would never plug my own page, but I talk a lot about this. It's very complicated. It takes a long time to explain.
I'm plugging his page.
But the
Jake Deaton 1 on TikTok.
The gist of it is much harder now to sell albums than it used to be. And even when you adjust for streaming, Billboard says this, every publication says this, that we don't have megastars like we used to, and that Taylor Swift is sort of the last bit of monoculture. So Chartmasters is a service that compares streams to sales, to vinyl sales, to try to equalize things as much as possible to compare artists across different eras because the music industry has completely changed.
Yeah.
And so you can't compare them directly. But Chartmasters does as well as you can. And so Taylor is the only artist born after 1975 to be in the top 20 most consumed artists in history, and she's already number 8. At her current pace, she will dethrone Madonna
as the most consumed female musician of all time within the next year or so. In the next 10 years, Taylor Swift will be within striking distance of Michael Jackson's all-time soloist record, and it is possible that she will overtake the Beatles to be the most consumed artist worldwide in music industry history, despite debuting at a time when it is so much harder to do so. People actually are wrong all the time. They think it's the opposite. They're like, oh, streaming, it must make it easier. It does not. If that was true, Taylor's contemporaries would also be high up on this list. Once again, she's the only artist born after 1975 in the top 20. So Taylor's number 8. Drake, the second most successful artist of the 21st century, is number 21. Rihanna is 44. At this point, at 44, we're already over 100 million units under Taylor's total. So very far behind in actual units. Britney Spears is 47. Justin Bieber is 50. Adele is 51. Beyonce is 58. The Weeknd is 59. Gaga is 75. Ariana Grande is 87. Now we're over 150 million units behind Taylor.
I mean, what do you want me to say, Jake? That's crazy.
Mic drop.
I don't have much knowledge to contribute, so I'm just going to lean in with pride. That's fucking incredible.
She has taken so many risks. She's been canceled so many times. She has worked her blood, sweat, and tears. She made all this music her fucking self, too. And she's nice. She gives money away. She was donating to food banks at every stop of the Eras Tour. She always takes the time to meet a fan. You never heard a bad fan experience story with Taylor Swift, ever, and you never will.
And you even saw that guy propose to his...
in front of her.
In front of her, and she was still really nice.
And she is grateful for everything she has, despite having it for so long now. That's what you usually see. You see these artists like get it, and then they're like overwhelmed by it, and understandably so. And they sort of grow to hate what they wanted the whole time. In what Lana Del Rey said, no one has ever wanted it more, and no one has ever appreciated it more. I'm like, my little billionaire did it. Like, also, the only artist in history to ever be a billionaire just for music.
I swear I love her as much as him.
This was her dream, and she has chased her dream and embraced her dream, and we could not have picked a better person for this all to happen to.
I completely agree. But there is one thing that I know Ms. Swift ain't done. I don't know that she's ever kissed herself. Taylor, come here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.